Go ahead and get started, Bill. Fiona, if you can start recording.
Good morning, all, and great to have everybody participating today. Our objectives and expectations. The COO Executives in Transition is designed to support Chief Operating Officers in these uncertain and challenging business times. Getting COOs in transition on your way to the next great opportunity is our goal. Open to COO Forum members as well as any Chief Operating Officer or second in command executive pro bono with no fee or obligation. This initiative aligns with the Chief Operating Officer Business Forum, Inc., COO Forum core values, and is expressly intended for all Chief Operating Officers and second in command executives. We are in our 6th month, and we are continuing with this weekly program into 2021, and delighted we're doing that. Just a few guidelines, just some reminders and so forth. First off, in meeting courtesy, mute when you're not speaking and during the presentations. Everybody knows what happens when a crowd gets on Zoom and nobody mutes, and it makes a lot of noise and difficult. Business first, if you have to step away, if so the family comes in, or if you have to do something else, just jump out, jump in. We are very informal here. Business language, no politics. The language is business language, and the politics are politics. They just don't work well in this kind of setting. The meeting will be recorded into the Mighty Networks for later reference. So anybody, and if you're not in the Mighty Network, reach out to Fiona and she will get you in there, or Laura as well. The other one is keep your job prospects confidential. There's a thing about getting great colleagues, but also you don't want any of your great colleagues to poach on you. So you don't want somebody to hear what you're doing and copy you and win the job. So that's just my notes there. I want to introduce Fiona Murray, who is, I think, there she is. Fiona Murray is the person who is at the point of this initiative. So she's very, very actively involved, and she has been with us about a year, and she's in the member services at the COO Forum, and we're so grateful that she is part of our team. Laura Weichel is the COO Forum second in command for 13 years in our organization, and she's called the Executive Vice President. Greater Atlanta is her home, and she is a phenomenal part of my part of the COO Forum, and she's a terrific colleague, and she's also does terrific work. So with that, I'm going to throw it to Laura Weichel and go from there.
Thank you, Bill, and thanks everybody for joining us today. I would like to introduce Andrew Lawless. I'm super excited to share some background information on him and then turn it over so he can take over the meeting. Andrew is a certified high-performance coach who specializes in helping CEOs transform their teams. He has offices in Galway, Ireland, and Austin, Texas. He's certified in Colby Wisdom, strategic intervention, and high-performance coaching. He brings a unique track record in executive and operations management, sales management, personal development, and behavioral sciences. His accomplishments include managing a corporate turnaround of Berlitz in Central and Eastern Europe, to transforming the World Bank's global approach to disseminating its analytical work. Andrew is a finalist for the prestigious Colby Professional Award. He discussed his work with the Obama White House, I saw that on YouTube, and testified before the US Senate on the importance of professional development for the US economic security. He also served as a trainer and consultant to the FBI's Behavioral Sciences Unit, and he's a former adjunct professor at the University of Maryland. He's in Austin today, and welcome, Andrew. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. There's an echo here somewhere. I don't know where that is. No, it's gone. Okay, cool. So what I will do, so thank you very much for the generous, gracious introduction, Laura and Bill. I really appreciate that. For everybody else here on the call, let me tell you how much I honor, respect you, and how much I acknowledge you today to show up, because it has been a tough year. Yeah. So, we've struggled with the pandemic. Organizations needed to change. Our lives were appended. We're working from home. My clients, they went through a dramatic transition, right? So right now it's very normal. Before the pandemic, everybody went on those calls with their business outfit. Now it's like t-shirt and the hair is like not done, and because the dog just chewed up the paper, or the FedEx guy came, and or the kids are asking for homework help or whatever. So it's tough, So and then a lot of us lost our work, and we need to go back into the game. And so what we want to talk about today is, how to get in the mindset of doing that. But for you being here tells me that you're committed. It tells me that you have what it takes to make that next step, and maybe even reinvent yourself or find your next opportunity. And we'll move this forward here today. I have a few tools that I would like to we'll get into right away. But let me share my screens here my screen for a moment. I will switch view. So can everybody see me okay right now? Yes. Okay, because I don't have a second monitor here right now. Okay. So when I talk to people, when I talk to CEOs, oops, it's the wrong scene. Where did that come from? So when I talk to people, then what usually happens is that they tell me this, right? So many of my clients say, I do not have enough time to organize work. I have no balance between work and family. I lack knowledge and practice. I'm afraid to fail. I have lack of confidence. I do not have the skills. I don't have the energy right now to look for my job. Who wants me? There are no opportunities out there. I'm stressed by constant changes. And when I'm in that state, I feel pain. I'm tired. I'm stressed, overwhelmed, timid, blocked, and reactive. Who here knows how that feels? Anybody here knows how that feels? Have you ever felt that way? Ever? Yes, give me your hands. I want to see you, right? So I need some visuals. Awesome. So and then just give in the chat box, just give me a big yes, so that Matej knows that you are here. And let me introduce Matej real quick. I should have done that earlier. Sorry. Matej, show yourself real quick.
Hi.
Okay, there's Matej. So
hello, everyone.
Matej is our, we've talked about it earlier, client success goddess, but she's also our clarity specialist. Yes. So she will monitor the chat. So while I'm giving this presentation, I will not watch the chats other than for some of the yeses, but if you have questions, I will probably miss them. So Matej is there to catch them, and either we'll respond to you later after the call, or I'll address that in the presentation. I will also give you opportunities throughout the presentation to ask for more information, or even for a meeting. There's no sales in here, but if you wanted to meet with any of us, then send your message to Matej, because she will pick that up. So she's your support person here in the background while we're going through the presentation. Does that make sense? Give me a big taco. I'm in Austin, Texas, right? Give me a taco, right? So if you're a breakfast taco here in the chat, so that I know that you've heard me. Awesome. Let me go back to my presentation. So here, so and so here's, we all know how this feels, right? And if I describe this person to you right now, if I said I have that person right here coming into the to co-present with me, how would you describe the physiology? How would that person show up?
Very stressed.
Very stressed, and looking very stressed, like hunched over or straight? Come on, unmute yourself. Tell me.
A little hunched over and disheveled.
Yes, and thank you, Terry. Can you stay with me for a moment?
Sure.
Head up or down?
Down.
Eyes up or down?
Down.
High energy, low energy?
Lowered.
Yeah. Deep and shallow or deep? Breathing shallow or deep?
Shallow.
Awesome. Thank you. You can unmute yourself. I want to show you something. Because remember what you said, head down, hunch over, shallow breathing, low energy, right? Eyes down. Yet that is how we spend most of our days these days, right? We walk around with our iPhones or Android phones. We are checking the computer. We're telling our brains all the time that we're depressed. Does it make sense? So it works both ways, right? So what we think and feel, what manifests itself in the body and the other way around. So if you always, especially now when we're at home, when we go from chair to chair and bed to chair and all of that, we're sitting hunched over all the time. It's the number one pandemic for me right now because it kills you literally, right? Not just mentally, but physically. It's the worst thing. It's worse than smoking, right? So we're going to counteract that right now. So what I want you to do is like stand up with me. Stand up. Yeah. Go away. Where are we? Stand up. And you should see me now. Yeah, stand up. And so you will go into like a runner's lunge, like this, right? So left leg forward, heels off the ground, and you put your left hand to your left cheek, and your right hand to your butt cheek, and you're almost like as if you were running, okay? And then you move your hands from cheek to cheek as fast as you can. Is everybody okay here? Does everybody see me in full video right now? Yes? Maite, do you see me in full video? Yeah, okay, cool. So, where are we? So I give you some music because we're doing this with entertainment. And we go 1, 2. Is there anybody alive out there? Yes, good. So, who here, give me a big yes. Who here feels more energized? Has more energy than you had a few minutes ago?
Woo!
Yes, Aaron, thank you. Who else? Paige, thank you. That was great. Thank you, Paige. Awesome. So, how long does it take you to bring up your energy? How long? 2 minutes. 2 minutes. So, even in work life, we used to run from business to business to business, head down, stressed, right? Meeting to meeting, Zoom calls, we stop one, boom, we go to the next, maybe already 5 seconds late, yeah? And in that mood, we're always stressed. So how much would your energy change of your meetings, of your interviews, of your emails, of your outreach to potential employers if you had that energy level? And what I want you to understand right now is that you will not wake up one day and energy has showered onto you like rain. It just doesn't happen that way. You are like a dynamo, you generate energy. You need to make it a habit, and that includes every 50 minutes stepping up from your chairs. Take a walk outside for at least half an hour, right? Move, your body is made for movement. And you've just had a short demonstration of that. So, and now you know why I wear t-shirts in my presentations, yes? Okay, so let's go back to the next step here. What I want you to, so that was my little presentation on energy. The people that work with us, I work with Fortune 50 people, senior executives, VP and up, and you have no idea how often I'm actually on calls with them. And the first 10 minutes is like, meditate, release, build up your energy, because I need you to be in a different mindset in order to be able to move you forward. So I need to switch this here. Okay, so make that a habit. Then you talk to me Matei at one point, that's one of the key topics. The second one is clarity, right? You have a worksheet. If you have not downloaded the worksheet yet, you still have time to do this. Matei, if you can put in the file one more time. I think Laura sent that out yesterday. And yes. So what I want you to do is go little by little here and start with the knowledge and experience in this corner. If you do not have the worksheet, then just draw a circle on a blank sheet of paper. It doesn't have to be round. It doesn't have to be perfect. You have 7 pieces of the pie, and they don't also have to be the same size. It doesn't matter at this point, okay? If you want to work the worksheet, use the worksheet, because on the right side of the worksheet, you see not 4 questions. I will refer back to them at the end of this presentation. So I would like you to rate where you are in these, in each area. And for now, just put a line across. You don't need to fill it out yet, right? Just put a line across where you are. In the middle of the wheel, you have a 0 and you have 100%. So if you feel good, and that's one of your superpowers. It's like, you know, I have more knowledge and experience in this industry than anybody else, then you're at 100%. If you say, you know what, if you think that you're not qualified or you lack experience or you're behind, then you're closer to 0. Does that make sense? Give me a yes in the chat so that I can see it. Yes? Yes, Joanne, thank you. Yes, super. So we begin. Ron, thank you. Yes, awesome. So knowledge and experience. So where are you? Do you feel that knowledge and experience, that's your superpower, right? So you are on top of your industry or profession in terms of what it takes to get the job done. If you're looking for other industries, for example, how does that compare? And then put a line somewhere where you think you are. Put a line somewhere here. Okay. There's no metrics, so there's no metrics in between because it doesn't matter at this point if you think you're at 34% or 30 or 37% of in that area. So it's just roughly where you are. Okay. Then you go to the industry that you serve. Do you like it? Right. So I think the worst thing that can happen to you as an executive, and it happened to me once, you know, is that you make it up and you don't like it. You know, what if you're successful and you realized you've climbed up the wrong wall, right? So is the industry that you serve, does it really still excite you? Is that something you're compassionate about, that you care about? Yes, that's the industry that you serve. The third one is, are you clear about your role in the industry? And with role, I do not mean function. I have project managers at Microsoft, or I know project managers at Microsoft that have more budget responsibility than some of the CEOs that I'm working with. Yes. So your title is not so much important as it is the role that you want to play. I'll give an example of a former colleague of mine. His daughter was born with differently abled, and only because the hospital did not have the medical records for the mother on time. And so he switched industries and went into the wanted to change how medical records are being shared and distributed between healthcare providers. And at age 65, he after 30 years of being a full-time IBM employee, right, moved to the job of his dream, the salary that he wanted, and in the role that he wanted, which is like, I want to transform how these things are being changed. Okay, so that's the role. Maybe your role is you want to make companies more successful, or you want to activate the teams, or whatever that is. Are you clear? If you're 100% clear, then you go to 100%. If you're like, I don't have no clue, you're at 0, most of you will be in between. So these ratings here that you see here, they're not suggested ratings for you. They're just to illustrate, yes, what you're doing. Next one is location and working hours. Are you clear on where you want to work? Right, so in terms of, you know, I saw a lot of people from Minnesota here, right? So do we want to be in Minnesota, right? Because we're family there, or like in my case, I would like to move to Austin, Texas, yes, because it's too cold anywhere else, and I'm done with it, you know. Maybe you're clear on it has to be virtual, okay? If you're flexible, if you're not very 100% clear, you put your line in between. Okay. Next one is personal criteria of success. Okay. So what I mean with that is the job that you're looking for, that you want, aligned with a personal criteria of success? Meaning, if in 100 years from now, after you've died, you could be at your own funeral and you would hear people talk about you. Do you want them to say, Andrew was a great middle manager, upper middle manager, COO at so-and-so company? Or do you want them to say, you know, he was a great father, he was a role model, he transformed teams, he showed us how to always work on yourself and so on, right? So that goes in here. And then the last one is motivation and values. Is the industry compliant with your motivation and values? Right, whatever these are, right? So Bill mentioned earlier, we're not talking politics, but you know where that goes. So you have like religious organizations and non-religious organizations, pro-abortion, against abortion, right? Pro-guns, against guns. Whatever your value is, or values are, you know, what you're doing right now is that, or what you want to do, what you're going after, is that align with your motivation values. And so now we have that line. I want you to scribble it out so that it's like like you see in here, that it is kind of solid. You can just scribble. It doesn't have to be fully solid, so just so that we see it. And when you're done, what I would really, really like you to do is to show us on screen what your wheel looks like. You see this here? Joanne, thank you. Keep it up, keep it up. I want everybody to keep it up. It's important that we all keep it up and play game here, yeah? Well, so Aaron, thank you. Brian, thank you. Thank you for sharing and your honesty and your transparency. Keep it up, keep it up. Terry, wonderful. Who else is coming? Aaron, wonderful. Okay, Keith, I can see Keith, perfect. Daniel, okay. So great, super. So now I want you to look at your wheels and answer the following question. If this was the 4 wheels on your car, how fast could you go? How smooth would the ride be? So what you have here is a graphical representation of how you feel. Yes? Give me a big yes if you're in the chat. Okay? So, and when you saw the wheel, show them again. Everybody shows them again at one point, at one time. No wheel is perfect. Yes, we all suck. And it's great. Yes. So, and that wheel hopefully will never be perfect, because once you have achieved your goals in all these areas, hopefully set new goals, and then you're behind. Does that make sense? So you really just look at this wheel right now. It's like, that's where I am, with no judgment. No. The next thing is I want you to figure out, and that's the box here, which one is the area of your superpower? Right, and maybe it's like personal power, like it is here, right? So, and make a box around it and write on it, I am the master of superpower. Okay. Now you know what you're good at. The next thing we're going to do is pick one area. So what we've learned over time is that when you focus on one area and you improve in one area, you will automatically increase the other areas as well. Yes. So I want you to pick one area that you feel that if you improved in that one area, and put a star in it, if you improved in that one area, you will increase everything. For example, you could say, if I increased my knowledge and experience, I could actually have the role in industry that I like. I could serve my industry better, and I could demand the location working hours, for example, right? Or if I were clear on the industry, I had a better idea on what knowledge and experience I need to develop, and how they're compliant with my personal criteria. So you just pick one, and then you write over on top of that area, I am not the master of knowledge and experience in this case yet. That yet is important, right? Because it presupposes that eventually you will. Make sense? So who here? So let's ask you this here. So we have, if you want to find a job and you go to an employer and you say, you know what? Yeah, my background is in IT, but I know you're a hospital, but I can do that too. What are your chances that you're going to be the top candidate? Exactly, right? 0. So if you say, you know what, I can work in Austin, but I can also work in San Francisco, but you know what, Boston is also okay, if you're that person, do you think, but you all hire people, right? Would you hire that person who's like all wishy-washy about everything? Right? So you also hire people, and you probably know that it's never, ever, ever, ever the most qualified candidate that gets the job, right? It's the candidate that you like the most, that you feel you connect with, that brings the energy to the table that you think your team needs. And if a person brings in personal values, ties the job to their criteria, shows a personal power, is motivated and loves the industry that you're in, you look over some of the gaps in formal qualifications. Yes? Who is with me? Okay, so that's not different from you, right? So yes, you can go into other industries and so on. And if you don't have all the knowledge and experience, that is fine. But you have to be working on all of those 7s. If you leave one out, you will not be able to succeed. And your interviewers, they're like horses. Does anyone here have a horse? Horses, Matei is a professional rider, so equestrian. So we say equestrian, right? Horses know, they can sense your slightest insecurities. Yes, Matei is nodding here. That is what interviewers do. If you're slightly insecure about any of these 7 areas, they feel it and they will shy away. Okay, so who has already a lot more clarity than before we started? Just give me a big yes, or give me a taco. I'm in Austin here, I need tacos. Terry, thank you. Right? Aaron, very bumpy ride if this were weird. Yes. So yes, tacos, Joanne, awesome, right? So that's how fast you get some clarity. We're like 30 minutes in. So let's bring this forward. So let's talk about how we're going to address it. Let's talk about mindset real quick, okay? So what I said earlier, 60% of your job search, where you are right now, or maybe reinventing yourself, or maybe you want to decide to start a business or whatever, 60% is mindset. 20% is the energy that you bring, and only 20% is technical, like I said earlier, right? If people like you, you have the mindset, you bring the energy to the meeting and to the interview, your technical qualifications don't matter that much. And you know that because you've hired yourself, right? So it's about mindset and energy. Mostly it's mindset. So who here can read what's on screen right now? Any volunteers? Peter?
Opportunity now here.
I'm not hearing you.
Opportunity now here.
Can everybody else hear him? I don't. Okay, why can I not hear you? That's awesome. It's awful. Give me a second. You monitor.
Can you hear me now?
Can you try that again?
Opportunity now here.
Okay, I don't hear you. Was there opportunity nowhere? Okay, who's seen opportunity nowhere? Who's seen? Okay, good. So who's seen this? Who's seen this? No one. You guys are good because most people I talk to, they see that first, right? So most of you said opportunity now here. And that is very important for you because where your mind goes, energy flows. So I would like to show that to you with this little video. Okay, something is happening to my audio, guys.
Yeah, we can hear the video.
I do not know what it is. So let me stop sharing quick. I apologize. Okay, so we'll do this again. This is the one here. We'll do this again. Share. Okay, let's do that from scratch. Okay, you know what? I will. Okay, that has never happened before. I just switched this. I don't hear anybody. My entire audio has left me hanging here, so I apologize. So let's move this forward.
Of the girls in green jumps.
Oh, can you hear this now?
You'll count each time one of them lands a jump, like this.
1, 2, yeah, we can hear now.
4, 5. As you can see, these jumpers are pretty quick on their feet, so you're going to have to pay attention.
We're not seeing the screen.
When the whistle blows, start.
I apologize. It's usually, I was bragging to Laura and Bill earlier that I have it all under control and then nothing works. So let me do this. Can you see it now? Yes. So.
Yes, we can see it.
We're going to play a game specifically designed to test your spatial awareness. Meet the Brain Games Double Dutch team. What does jumping rope have to do with the brain? Well, Double Dutch requires off-the-chart spatial awareness. And today, these kids are going to help us test yours. For this game, all you have to do is keep track of the number of times that either of the girls in green jumps. You'll count each time one of them lands a jump, like this.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
As you can see, these jumpers are pretty quick on their feet, so you're going to have to pay attention to keep up. When the whistle blows, start counting. Ready? Go. So, how many jumps did the green team make? Did you say 38? If so, you agreed with 40% of our test audience. Now, some of you may be onto us, but for those of you who aren't, did you happen to notice anything else going on during the Double Dutch? Maybe a giant chicken strolling right through the middle of the set and doing a funky chicken dance? Now, some of you may have missed that funky chicken, but many of you probably saw it, and that's okay. because the chicken was just there to distract you too. Here's the real question. What color was the wall behind the double Dutch game? Here's a hint. It wasn't the same color at the end as it was when they started jumping. The back wall was changing color the entire time, from bright blue to bright red. Nearly everyone misses it. But why? It turns out there's far too much information coming in through the eyes at any given moment for the brain to fully process all of it. As a result, the brain has to act like a spotlight, focusing our attention on some parts of the scene but not others. Now, most of you were probably paying attention to the jumpers, and some of you may have suspected that something strange was going to happen, and so you saw the chicken. But you probably weren't paying attention to the back wall. And what we don't pay attention to, we don't see. And hey, for those of you who managed to catch everything so far, did you notice that we also swapped the rope turners out halfway through? Gotcha.
So the reason I'm sharing that with you
Today we're gonna play a game.
is because I did a search yesterday on LinkedIn. There are currently 4,312 open positions for CEO available on LinkedIn. Yes? So this group here, like you showing up with the attention and the energy that you're showing, right? Right here, and the commitment, there's no reason why any of you doesn't have a job. And I also did search like just the positions that were posted in the last 10 days, 2,270 open positions. Okay, it's like from everything from hospital to technology companies, right? So you pick one. There are enough opportunities out there, right? If you haven't come across them, then because you don't see them. Right? Because your mind is somewhere else. Maybe your mind is on negative energy. Maybe your mind is on the economy. Maybe your mind is, some of us have lost people, right? And it's tough. You know, Maite, we know somebody who passed away. It was our business partner, right? So we all affected somehow, right? But in that mindset, you're not going to make it far, right? Like, and I show you, and here's why most people fail. So as the world energy goes down, right? So watch this. As the world energy goes down, right? So does people's energy, right? So it all goes down. And then what happens at one point, the world energy goes up and the world performance goes up, right? It will happen. Maybe not this year, maybe later this year, maybe in 2022, but eventually this will happen. And what breaks my heart is that people that have allowed their energy to go down with the world energy, they do not tend to recover at the same pace as fast as the rest of the world. They fall behind, right? So yes, if you allow yourself to be down right now, you're also robbing yourself of the opportunity to grow as fast and as high as you can later on. And we call that the performance void. Then there's also another group of people, those that are looking for coaching, for example, and they have coaches, they have mentors, they have peers, they have active habits to keep the energy up. They perform above the world performance growth, right? They recover earlier and faster and higher than everybody else. And we call that the performance advantage. And if you think I just made that up, that is the actual data from the last recession in 2008, 2009, right? And you see that income, the difference in income that we see. And do we all know people that have become really, really rich after the last recession? Spotify was founded in the recession. Airbnb was founded in the recession. Facebook went global in the recession, right? And you know, I started my business in 2008, 2009, because before that I had all these other successes in other companies. But when you look at this chart, and I'm not here to impress you or to impress upon you, that when you're struggling right now, embrace the struggle, because that is your prerequisite for growth. think about it. When was it in your past when you grew the fastest? Typically after a crisis. Yes, job loss, death of a loved one, illness, catastrophe of some kind, natural catastrophe, pandemic, recession or whatever. You needed to change, and that struggle set you up for growth. And so I'm not going to bore you with what I've done, but I've started Scientific American's first website, right? And then eventually in 2008, 2009, started to go do it by myself. And that's when the recession kicked in. I was 1 month away from losing my house, and I couldn't buy my son an ice cream for $1. I remember that very distinctly. And on that day, my then girlfriend, now my life and wife, called me and said, "I'm going to move from Ireland to Washington, D.C." And I'm like, shouldn't one of us have a job? And but I knew I needed to figure it out. And once I figured out for myself, I will have other people to do the same and do it faster and better than I ever have, right? So that's the compassion thing about that I talked about in that wheel, right? So I'm giving you the strategy right now, how you can turn this around, okay? So you have a second worksheet. If you don't have that worksheet, you can work with me step by step. The first advice I always give to any of my clients when we start out is change your peer group. Oh, by the way, I forgot that. If you have your wheel and you need more clarity on it and you would like to connect this later on, send a message to Maite, and she will be able to follow up with you afterwards and either send you more material or actually schedule a session with us so that we can work with you through it. It's not going to be a sales session, by the way. There's no sales here whatsoever. So you're all invited to a free strategy session with us where we go into a specific situation and explore that, right? But so just send a note to Maite because she's monitoring the chat. I just do this. I'm focused on the presentation. So the first one is peers. Think about who you surround yourself with. Why? Nothing is as powerful as your peer group. Does anybody smoke? Or has anybody ever smoked here? Who has? Okay, a few. Joanne, can I call you out? And unmute yourself. So how was that experience? The very first time you smoked a cigarette, how was that experience?
It was awful.
Awful, right? So how did you feel?
I felt like, yeah, sick. I was coughing and yeah, it was disgusting. Tasted disgusting.
Awesome. So now I'm asking you, and you can unmute yourself. It's a rhetorical question. Why, did you condition yourself then to like it to a point that at one point you craved it?
Because I wanted to do it.
Why do you want to do it?
Probably at the time that I did it was because my peers were doing it and I thought that they were cool.
Always, exactly. It's always peer group, right? So you want to be cool. You're not going to be seen as an adult. You don't want to be the oddball out, right? Yep. So now think about that. Peers make you condition yourself to crave something that makes you feel sick and kills you in the long term. How crazy is that?
Pretty crazy.
Right? So now imagine you would have aligned yourself with these guys early on. How different would your life be?
Very different. Yep.
Right? So, and I learned this from Tony Robbins. You know, when people see my presentations, they quote me, but it's actually Tony Robbins' quote. Your quality of life is a direct reflection of the expectations from your peer group. If you want to change your life, change, upgrade your peers. Right? We see this with Marines, right? So I work with special forces, and they work on the highest mental, physical level that any human being can operate. And then they come home, and you see them, not all of them, but many 2 years later, and outside of PTSD, you'll see that they're overweight, unemployed, underemployed, sitting on their couches, eating Doritos and watching Super Bowl football, right? So what happened? They used to work at that level, and now they're down here. And what changed is the peer group, period. The peers that hold them to higher standards are not, they're not there anymore. And wherever you are right now, chances are that people are in a very similar situation, income-wise, interest-wise, job-wise, value-wise, and so on. So you need to upgrade. So the most important thing that you can do is upgrade your peers, because they will set new standards for you that you will need. They will help you think differently. Bill Gates helped us think differently about the computer at home and how to work from home, right? They challenge you. Like if you've seen the movie Glorious, then watch it. These ladies helped us think differently about women's rights and women's issues and how to communicate them. And they're role model all the way, right? Because you do not believe the message if you do not believe the messenger, right? So they do that. They set those expectations this way that automatically you gravitate to it. So the second one is conditioning. Most of us, we wait for something to happen, right? Like we get fired, a pandemic, a recession, an illness, a move, something, so that we change. But the most successful people in the world, they condition themselves every day to go out of their comfort zone and do something new. Because if you want to change your life, you can only change your life with one thing. You need to invite something new into your life. It's either a new relationship, a new either business relationship or partner or whatever, vendor, a life partner, or a new job opportunity, or a new skill, or a new coach, or whatever, right? So the most successful people have in their calendar something where they either take a big step, ask for help, try something new, express themselves. Asking for help for people at our level is the hardest thing to do. But we all need help sometimes. We all ask for it too late, yes? So not the most successful people. They take a step, that they are bold, they're asking for help, they try something new, they express themselves, right? So third, they are very clear about their why. So why are they waking up every morning? Okay, and your why doesn't need to. Simon Sinek wrote a book about it, and that's all his message is about the why. But your why doesn't need to be a change the world why, right? It just has to be strong enough to get you moving no matter what. And for some people, that may mean to get your children through college, right? For one of my clients, it means that he can give his parents a comfortable retirement, right? For others, it may be to change the world, right? So, but the why has to be strong enough that when you, that slide has strong enough. Like when you look at the chart that I gave you with the word energy, that when it really gets up, when the going gets rough, it's you pulling through. Because how often do we wake up and we don't feel like it? Guess what? Most of the mornings we wake up and we don't feel like it. Yes? So we've got to make that happen. We need to generate that energy. And if you do not have a strong enough reason to pull through, you won't. Okay, so we have an exercise, the 7 Whys Deep, with a worksheet, which I'm not sharing here. But if you send a quick note to Maite, she would send it to you in the follow-up. And she can also book some time with you to review this and put this into the context of the wheel of life, wheel of your career, and the strategy. Lastly, nothing what I said, nothing, zilch, zero works. Yes, unless you take action. So if you leave this workshop here today saying, you know what, oh, that was very interesting, there was some energy, I learned something, I had some clarity, I have a strategy, and you don't do anything, it's not going to work, right? So if I looked into your calendar each day and I cannot extract who are the peers that you want to reach out to, right, and engage, what do you do to condition yourself? how your work is, how your day is connected to your why and your personal conviction, and what projects you're working on, it's not going to work. Make sense? Yes. So you take action. That's what you see on the left. That is your identity, right? That's how you define yourself. You define yourself by the people you surround yourself with, how you improve yourself, and what drives you. Yes. So, and how that then manifests itself, what people see is the right side, is your life, and they would see. They will see in your life something happens that will give you meaning, that will trigger a response, which will trigger action. For example, when I worked with special forces, they called me, and I know many of you have children around, but you will get it, a mofo, right? So, and I wasn't insulted. I'm like, great, I'm one of them. They take me serious. How awesome is that? I'm just the best guy, right? So, because my identity was such that when that event occurred, I gave it a different meaning, and my response was, love it. I'm great. You know, if that's somebody like a stranger would have said that to me, I would have been upset. The challenge here is that if you want to change what's happening in your life, the meaning that you give it and how you respond, and change your situation, you only can change it on the left side. And most people do the same thing all over on the right side, hoping that they will get better results. And Albert Einstein said insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So your job really is to work hard on the left side. And if you consistently do that, you will thrive. So your game plan, reflect with your life strategy worksheet. I said that wheel of your career. And if you want our help, if you want to talk to Matej or me and want to discuss your situation, get some more deeper insights, we'll be happy to meet for about an hour clarity session. There's not going to be any sales. It's really just to help you move forward, because we acknowledge the situation. As you know, I've been there myself a few times, as you've seen from my timeline. Increase your, sorry, I misspoke. That's the reflect with the life strategy workshop that's just shared with you. Then the second is use the career wheel model and increase your clarity. Then strengthen your support group, peers, mentors, and coaches. I want to look for. Peers are the ones, if you want to find a new job, the best owner of the best recruitment company in your city needs to be in your peer group. Yes. The head of talent in your in the most important companies need to be your peer group, and there's a way and strategy to make them your peers and reach out to them. It's very easy, actually, right? If you want to start a business, I mean, the best accountant in your city needs to be in your peer group, right? I wrote a book on blood sugar management because I have type 1 diabetes, and I always run around with this glucose meter, right? And I check it, and I see that I'm too high right now, but it's good. So you'll not see me pass out. But I wrote that book, and I'm not a specialist. I had no reputation in it whatsoever. So I needed somebody to write my foreword. And for those of you who go to Whole Foods, whole markets, when you go to the section where they have all the probiotics, there's a brand called Udo's Oil, Udo's Choice. Udo of Udo's Choice wrote my foreword. And before he did that, I didn't even know him. He was just gracious enough to help out, right? So there is a process to get you there. And there's an exercise of phone alarms that we didn't get to today. But when we meet, we will give you a super exercise that conditions yourself all the time to show up as your very best self in every encounter that you have. So it's for me. And I wanted to do some dancing. It's 11. So, but for those who need to jump off. But here is my hero. His name is John McClendon III. He at one point was homeless, lived in a card box in LA, and it started to rain. And you know what happens when it rains? What happens to your house that is a card box? It melts away. And So it did. And he added the third to his name right after that event to remind himself that he's worth something. And he's a billionaire right now. And he was part of a happiness study at Yale, where they tried to figure out what's the one move that you can make that makes you happier faster than anything else. Any ideas? People usually say smiling, whatever, dancing, whatever. No, it is moving your hips. Yes, moving your hips. I don't know why that is, but anyway, he termed that phrase astitude. And before we part, join me with some astitude here and get up your chairs. I know I went over by 2 minutes. I promised not to. So, but I hope you enjoyed it and go into the day, crush it. You know what you need to do. Do reach out. We're happy to meet and take that further with you. And I apologize, Laura, Bill.
No,
I got way ahead of myself, and I should have.
not a problem at all, Andrew. Not at all. It's really appreciated, and that was fun. Very informative and great. And I guess everybody can follow up with Maite. If for any reason you weren't able to get a message to her, reach out to me and I can connect you through Andrew to her. So thank you everybody for joining us. I put in the post next week, we have Igor Pistolak and Dan Jackson joining us for creating a career plan and story. And have a great week, everybody, and go shake.
Give me some.
Thank you.
Thank you.